We did it.
We did do it.
Good morning, Vadges.
Vadgies, we're up at 11 a.m. Doesn't this seem so early?
I know. Well, I wake up at 10. So anything before noon is actually pretty early for me.
Do you have to set an alarm or you normally wake up at 10?
Well, I set an alarm for 8:30 and I always hit it. I don't know why. I love setting an alarm early and then knowing I don't have to be up, and it gives me satisfaction to be like, oh, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, good.
But
no obligations.
Do you snooze for an hour and a half?
No, I just hit stop and then it won't go on again. And then Joe gets up around 8:30. He does his stuff and then he comes in and then he wakes me up. Like if he wasn't around, then I'd probably be a nooner.
Yeah. I usually get up around 11 or 12. It's so weird though. Just there's nothing really, like there's really nothing to do, right? Not that there's nothing to do, but just like everything's kind of canceled.
Yeah. Well,
so it's just like
I'll get shows and then they keep switching it because of rain days or something happens, and then it's in my calendar and I forgot to delete it, and then I don't know who booked it, and because everybody's emailing you through Instagram, I can't find out who's doing what.
I saw your Facebook post the other day where it was like, hey, I have a show. I don't know who books it, but if I'm on your show tonight, let me know. Did they ever get back to you?
No, everyone was like, is it Natalie Cuomo? And I was like, no, she's Fridays. Like, I know that. And then even Tiny Cupboard's website was confusing, where I look at their events for the week, and then it says for Thursday or Saturday, it says see Thursday. For Saturday shows, it goes see Thursday's shows. And then you're like, well, it doesn't make any sense. And then I'm like, I'm not going to travel an hour out of my way and just find out I'm not on a show.
Yeah, because then that's 2 hours round trip. That's a long time to waste, even though we really are not doing anything.
No, and like I don't know. It seems like I don't know how long these park shows are going to go on for. It feels like maybe the attendance of people hanging out in the park has dropped off since it's not summer right now.
Yeah, and it's weird because the weather already is getting cooler, like much cooler. I was out last night and I went for like a nice long walk, and it was already cold where I was like, I wish I bought a sweatshirt. So that happened quick. That was about a week.
Yeah, it was cold. It hit 57 on Friday night, and then I was on a rooftop and I had to wear like a light jacket on stage. I was like, I could almost wear a beanie, but it felt so douchey to bring out a beanie so early. Like, as soon as fall hits, yeah.
How long do you think they'll do outdoor shows for? Through October?
I don't know. I guess until, it goes below, I would assume below 50 degrees.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Tracy, like, because all the shows seem to be happening at Tiny Cupboard, and then we're like on top of a roof, and the roof, when you walk, have you ever, when you walk on a rooftop, a lot of these buildings, it's a very soft, like,
you almost feel like you're gonna fall through.
Yeah,
that's someone's magic act. Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah, I know what you mean.
We're like, is this gonna be another one of those like sweatshop buildings that collapse on each other because it hasn't been updated or looked after in 20 years in India? That's what it felt like. Like this could be like that show. What was that band Great White, where everyone caught on fire in the room, but for some reason the band managed to make it out alive?
I don't even know anything about that situation. I have no idea who Great White is. I thought you were going to start talking about a shark.
Great White is that band that did that song. It was a cover, but they're like, ma, once bitten, twice shy, baby.
That is not what we were listening to in the Bronx growing up. I have no idea what that is. That sounds like country bumpkin fucking your cousin shit.
No, it's like Jersey trash rock.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah, it was like a hair band.
I used to like the White Stripes.
Yeah, the White Stripes were good. They rocked. But this band they did a show somewhere in the Northeast, I forgot where, and they did it in a building, and they were doing pyrotechnics in like a small club, and it caught everything on fire, and it was an old building, and no one got out. Like the whole audience burnt to death, and they managed to escape through the back door.
Wow. That sounds like what's going on in California with everything burning.
Yeah, that's insane. I was telling Joe, I was like, doesn't California just go on fire every year?
Right, so it doesn't need extra help going on fire. I feel like that couple, I think, is going to get pressed like for... I mean, they're going to try and sue them for damages, and I'm like, good luck. There's no way they're going to be able to pay you back. You might as well just put them in jail.
I know. Well, I like the idea that they come to court with their baby.
No,
Just
we all know it's a boy, obviously. So, thanks for that. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what's going to happen to them, but I feel like they should go to jail. They should go to jail for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
I know it's not their fault, but like neither is vehicular manslaughter.
Exactly.
It's a oopsie murder, and you should go to jail.
Well, they did cause one fire, but apparently I think there's like 3 fires that are meeting up, and so the whole West Coast is on fire.
But Denver's snowing. So
yeah, but also Denver's on fire too.
So
it
maybe
looks like
the snow
a
will help.
hellscape. Yeah, I guess so. That's why I'm kind of I'm just grateful that we live here. Oh my
God.
God.
We'd all be dead.
Also, all these buildings where landlords don't do shit. Except our landlord's pretty nice.
And there's so many people in one. I like how you've put that in because your landlord listens to your podcast. My landlord's pretty great. My landlord is, I think, autistic. No, like for real.
Yeah.
So he got me a new stove because the other one broke. And then I was like, hey, this stove's not really working that great. And he came up here and he was screaming at me. And I go, hey, this is not my fault. I was like, I'm not going to just have you screaming at me. And he was like, you're right. I'm sorry. He's like, I'm just upset because everything's going wrong in the building. I'm like, yeah, it's from it's probably from the 1400s. That's not my fault. And I go, I'm just trying to like save your building from going on fire. I don't actually care. And he's like, well, you're on the 3rd floor, so if you go on fire, like it's only above you. I'm like, that's not how fires work. It's going to also go down to the 2nd floor. Do you know how fires work, idiot? I'm like, you're so dumb.
Yeah. I love that. But that's one reason why I would never want to be a landlord is everybody's going to be complaining about their apartment at once.
Right. So the lady who lives downstairs from me, her ceiling collapsed. And I guess he was upset about that. But I'm like, I don't care. That's not my problem. Like, I get it. It's frustrating. But I remember he's also the type of person who just like, I guess he's somewhat handy. He just tries to fix everything on his own. And anytime it rained really bad, my bathroom, the ceiling would just like flood.
Yeah.
So he did it like 2 times, and I had just painted, and it ruined the whole ceiling up there. So he did it twice where he fixed it himself, and then finally when it rained again really bad, I go, "Hey, I'm gonna call an actual person that knows what they're doing." If you don't, and then he had to fix it, and then he was like, well, I just spent $10,000 on the ceiling, on like the roof. I'm like, that's not my problem. What do you want from me?
Yeah, you need it good. That's what Vecchione was talking about when you get a bed bug situation, right? That they're like, try to save money and they get the cheapest thing possible. And it's just like this ongoing thing where you're like, just spend a few $1,000 more and we'll never have to deal with this again. Or at least for a while.
I had a friend that, do you remember Stacia Jensen?
No.
She was my friend that used to do stand-up, and she had an apartment where they kept getting bed bugs. She's like, it's so hard to get rid of them because a lot of times they don't want to pay money, and then they just keep coming back, and you keep getting these infestations. So, like, she had it, like, 3 times, and she was like, it finally just broke her, and she moved. She, like, moved back to the West Coast. Like, it broke her spirit. As I would say.
I totally understand I've never had bed bugs, but I can understand not only the annoyance of it, but also the psychological damage of. I had a cockroach land on me once while I was sleeping, and then from there on out, you always think a little hairbrush. While you move, you're like, "What is up? What is that? It's scary.
Did you go back to sleep that night? There's no way I'd go back to sleep. I would just be up forever.
Yeah, I think I did, but it took a long time to not think that any little whatever you felt was a roach.
I remember there was a girl that I remember that guy Junior had a crush on.
Yes.
I talked about that. Okay. So his first wife moved across the street with her 2 kids, and they lived in an apartment that was real trashy. And I remember the mother told me she woke up and there were just roaches like falling from the ceiling on her. And you're like, how do you ever go back to sleep? That is the most terrifying thing to ever have a bug crawling on you.
Yeah, I couldn't. Knowing that an apartment is constantly like that, I don't think I could live in it.
No. I don't.
Disgusting.
I'm like, they were, and I remember I went over there and they showed me, that's the only place I ever watched The Exorcist, and then I had nightmares for like a long time.
That's a really good movie.
I was probably like 13.
I watched a
14.
really good scary movie last night called The Lodge, and Alicia Silverstone's in it, and she kills herself in the very beginning of the movie. She's the mom, and then her kids spend Christmas with dad and their new stepmom, who was an ex-cult. Her dad was the main guy in a cult, and then they all did a mass suicide, but she survived. And so they stay with her, and they hate her because they blame her for the death of their mom. So the dad leaves on a business trip, and she has to stay there, and they convince her that they've died. All of them have died, and they're in purgatory in this house. But then after a while...
Wait, they've convinced her of this?
Yeah, because they did it in a fake obituary. They took, while she was sleeping, they took everything out of the house, and they put it into a crawl space, so it looked like the house had been cleared. And then she was like, well... She didn't believe him at first, and then they finally convinced her, and then she started having mental breakdowns from her cult years, and then she really turns on the kids, and then they were like, okay, we were just kidding. But
what's so crazy about that? Wasn't she getting calls from people? Like, didn't she have a phone where she got called into work?
They pulled the generator, and all their phones went dead, and they were playing along that their phones were dead. Here's the thing, though.
For what? The dad was away for, you said, for a weekend, right?
Yeah, he had a business trip. So this took place over 3 days, that they convinced their stepmom that they were in purgatory. It's kind of like a really disturbing Parent Trap.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine somebody doing that and you don't just look outside and there's people there.
Oh, well, they were in the family's home in the middle of the woods in somewhere like that's Massachusetts.
All right, and that's more believable.
After a while, the stepmom, since she was having a mental breakdown, she really lost it. And then just turned on the kids, and that's when they were like, "Well, we're just we just planned this whole thing. We were trying to get back to you because we blamed you for our mom's suicide." But part of me was like, I kind of feel like the kids deserved what they got for convincing their stepmom that they are in purgatory.
I don't know. I think if your kids have that type of imagination and they can get you to believe that, you're a fucking retard. And also, isn't it weird Alicia Silverstone was like the heartthrob back in the day? Now she's doing this dumb movie where she's getting convinced by these dumb kids that she's in the fucking afterlife.
Well, she was in the she was actually, I explained the movie and it sounds bad, but it did get 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. She's the mom in the beginning that commits suicide. Alicia Silverstone has been in all these movies where she's only playing bit parts. It's really weird.
Yeah, I don't know. She hasn't really had anything big since she was a kid. Not
since Clueless. I really feel like Clueless was one of the last few things that she did. I think she became like a mom and then just like kind of aged out of that role, whatever she, because she was the it girl of the 90s.
That's what I'm saying. I remember when I was like 16 and I was dating this guy who was like in love with her, and I was like, dude, you have no shot. Like, I barely like you. And I was like, you have like such a big nose. Like, there was no shot for him, but that was like his dream girl.
That's where you're like, hey, don't want to break it to you, but this is as good as it's going to get for you.
Right. And it's like, I don't even like you that much.
Yeah.
And that was in my hot days. And I was like, you're basically just a rebound.
That's so funny.
That sounds like an interesting show. I saw that, I watched that Social Media movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
I saw Joe watched it too. And then I was like, I found myself using my phone more after it, though. Like, it didn't really help me. Like, during it, I was like, I'm going to stop using my phone. And then as soon as it was over, or even before, I was checking Instagram while I was watching it. So I'm not sure it's really helpful knowing that.
Well, it's like watching that Michael Jackson documentary, and then afterwards you're like, I really want to listen to some Michael. That's what happened to me last year when I watched it. That's all I wanted to do. I just went on a rampage of listening to Michael Jackson music.
So good.
For like a month straight. So good. And like a wide range of hits.
Yeah. What'd you think of the movie, though? It's basically just saying how social media...
I agree with it, but I can't stop it. Like, even this morning, I was like, I'm going to not try to reach for my phone as the first thing in the morning. But it really fills my heart up with like... It
with
just
joy.
Warms with joy. I love it. I love TikTok. I feel like I'm learning so much on TikTok.
And I feel like I'm better than you because I'm not on TikTok. There's like people who are sending me clips, and I'm just like, I'm not going to do it. I just feel like I'll waste 2 more hours of my day on it.
Well, I did think about you because I saw something on TikTok that I was like, Adrienne would absolutely love this. This is right up her alley of family drama, some good gossip stuff. But I was like, nope, Adrienne does not want to get involved in TikTok, so
you can send it to me. I just won't. I just won't go on there. I really don't even know how it works. That's why I'm like a 90-year-old lady on it. Whenever someone sends me something from TikTok, like I have to sign in, and then I'll just watch it, and then I leave because I don't know what I'm doing.
That's probably best because it is now my thing before bed. I get into bed at midnight, and then for 2 hours, I scroll through TikTok just watching little stories that I find fascinating. And then it makes me anxious to know that I've been on there for 2 hours.
But you can't get out.
I can't get out. And I'm like this. I almost have to be like this. Ugh! Like throw it across the room.
What do you like watching on there the most? Do you like watching cute dog videos? Is it family drama?
I like the family drama. Some people have some really fascinating stuff where like this one guy had a family where all of his uncles are all cheating on each other with their wives. So they're all like fucking each other's wives.
And he just put this on TikTok?
Yeah. And then it blew up.
Feel like
everyone's like, I don't know. I know. Some of it you're like, it's so weird. Oh, another one, this girl was talking to her mom about like, I think my husband's cheating on me, and like all the signs that she's seeing. And then her mom got really like, well, that's crazy.
And it was the mother?
Well, what ended up happening is that, so the mom, she was like, I thought it was really weird that my mom took it to the next level and started following him everywhere. And what I find out, my mom has been fucking my husband or boyfriend for years, and now she's thinking that he's cheating on her too.
This is insane. What kind of a mother does that?
I don't know, but it happens quite a bit in America. Like Maury Povich that's how his whole career is based on. Our moms like fucking their daughters' boyfriends to teach them how much of a piece of shit their boyfriends are.
You're like, well, you're also a piece of shit.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if your daughter's boyfriend is a piece of shit, like, you don't need to fuck him. You can just tell her.
I know. That's always was my favorite argument or, like, defense for the mom and Maury to be like, I just wanted you to see what a bad person he was. And the only way that you would believe me is if I fucked him. And you're like, thanks, Mom.
Some girls probably like, you're right.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's
some
so
people
crazy.
can put really fast ones on people.
Did you say we had some emails?
We got a few. So one of our main, I think it's Brown. Ald Eggs or something that's on Instagram.
Okay.
She sent, I think it's a she or whoever. It doesn't matter what gender you are. I always no, I'm
That's true.
worried these days.
You can't say anything.
No,
You're like, what
she goes,
pronouns do you want? What pronouns do you want to be used?
I know. Are we supposed to be doing that? Should we say that for Vadge under our Instagram handle? I'll put she and her.
And them.
It'd be funny if you're like, my pronouns are mine. Everything is mine.
That's funny. I remember there was a comic who identified as, you know how you say, are you a man or woman? And they identified as or. And you're like, you're so woke. I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah. You're like, that's just annoying.
It reminds me of that song, that old hip hop song, you could get with this or you can get with that. That's exactly what these pronouns remind me of. Where you're like, oh, I don't know what anyone is.
I don't know. I'm just calling, maybe we should just have one big generic pronoun for everybody. Like, nobody gets their pronouns. Like, we all just get one pronoun.
I think that's a good idea. I don't want to know your pronouns and remember them. I'm just going by the ones that he and she.
Yes.
Or it.
I like it. What
Me
is
too,
it?
because then you don't know what anyone is. You just could say, it's over there.
Yeah. It needs love.
It's got to be weird now working in an office with so many, because I haven't worked in an office in a long time. It's going to be weird working in an office where like all this woke shit's coming out.
Well, I tempted this office, Fila, and they had a single bathroom for trans, and it just ended up being the restroom that everybody took a shit in.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because it was a single stall of privacy. Like, that's like those handicap bathrooms are the same. Everybody uses them because they're like, well, I've been working in the office and I have not seen one person in a wheelchair, so I'm going to go take a shit in the handicap bathroom.
What if you're a handicapped trans person? Can you use either or bathroom, I guess? So is there handicap, trans, and then man and woman?
Yeah.
Male and female bathrooms? It's a lot of bathrooms to have.
Yeah. It's all too much. I told you about that one girl that was like, I have autism, and anytime I start a new job, this is what I let them know, that I need my own room, noise canceling headphones, no extreme lighting. And then you're like, how are you getting hired? This is an insane amount of stuff to be demanding at an office where we're all like, and then I was like, I got to see what the comments are. Is anyone supporting this? Or like, this is what you need. This is perfect. And it's all like, one comment was like, I don't even get an extension cord. Yeah. When I ask for one. Yeah. That you're like, how are we supposed to cater to everybody's needs? We haven't even like made it nice for people that are left-handed.
But that's because everyone's scared of lawsuits. So, I mean, I guess if you hire somebody like that, do they tell you up front they need all that stuff? Or is it they get hired and then they show up the first day and they're like, these are all my requirements. Like, this is my rider. Like, I'm a fucking famous person. I'm Mariah Carey. I'm showing up and I want all this shit. And you're like, well, no, we're not gonna just give you red Skittles every day. Like, deal with what we got here or fucking get a different job. This is like fucking Macy's.
I know. That's the part it's so funny to think of it that way. Like, I can't be like, I'm only coming into work at 11 a.m. when I feel like it on my good days because I have depression.
You're like, hey, we need the polo shit restocked. I don't give a shit about your depression. Go be sad in the corner and restock that shit. I mean, I couldn't imagine being like an office manager now and having to deal with that kind of shit. First of all, I would just be like, I don't care. Because I was an office manager at one place and I was just let everyone do whatever they wanted because I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, like after a while you're like, I can't keep fighting with everybody.
No, but that was like a medical office, so it was a little bit different. But if I had to work at a place now where everyone had so many woke demands, I would just I don't know what I would do. I don't think you could say anything to anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you ever look for the person in the office who's kind of just like, oh, this is bullshit? I don't know if they have those people anymore. Because secretly,
those are the best people.
I know, but secretly, I don't know if those people exist anymore in this, like, time we're in where everyone is so woke and politically correct. Like, it just seems like a crazy place. Just, like, working with strangers and you don't know what their kind of mental wokeness is.
Yeah. It's just working with anybody. It also feels like everybody that you work with all has mental illness in the office anyways.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I feel like wokeness is a mental illness. That's what it feels like to me, where somebody's taking stuff to the 10th degree where you're like, you can't really believe this. Do you know what I mean? Like, all the pronouns and stuff, like, there's no way somebody agree. I mean, I guess they do. I don't know. It just seems so crazy to me to feel like you're going to remember 100 different pronouns for people when you're like, I don't even remember your name. Why would I remember your surname now or whatever it is that you want to be called by?
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that, where you're just like, I can't even remember. Yeah, I can't remember your name.
No. I just feel like there's a lot of you, like, pointing to someone and going, hey, you, get over here.
Yes. And that used to be considered rude, but now I feel like it's very all-inclusive. Hey, you guys.
You probably can't even say guys. Hey, you
true.
people.
Get your.
But then you can't say you people to any ethnicity because then be like, what do you mean you people? And you're like, fuck. I just don't want to say pronouns. Hey, everyone.
I think y'all is a good one. Hey, y'all.
Yeah, nice little southern, bring some southern hospitality into it.
Some southern bells. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. I think have you noticed a lot of police chiefs are just quitting everywhere because they're like, I can't handle all the pressure that they have to deal with. Like, I think about that one where they're like, okay, we're told to defund the police, and then it's just like real, and then they're dealing with BLM, and it's just like really hard for all of them. And it's not even like it's white police chief; it's also black police chiefs. That are
it's everyone, because there are a lot of cops that are not white. You know, there's a lot of women working, a lot of Hispanic, a lot of, Asian cops, which to me has to be like your parents are the most disappointed. But there's so many different ethnicities where it's not just white people. It's like, just give the white cops a hard time. Why are you giving all these other people a hard time also? I would, first of all, if I was a cop right now, I would just sit in my car and sleep somewhere and I wouldn't do anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Just collect that paycheck.
That's sweet union money.
Yeah, well, why don't we just let Antifa take over? They seem like they know what they're doing.
I know. Well, we can get to a few of the questions.
Oh yes, sorry, we got derailed.
I know, I just remembered. I was like, oh, we were talking about questions, and then we
get derailed pretty quickly.
Easily. So this one's straightforward. Why aren't you wearing Vadge t-shirts? And I was like, excellent point.
That is an excellent point.
I only bought one.
I'll buy one.
Yeah. I think I'll buy another one, but the one that I got was a long sleeve.
Well, we're coming into winter soon, so fall.
I'll break it
out. I'm gonna definitely get one. That was a good question. Thanks for making us feel stupid.
I know.
I just think I forgot. I think with all of like COVID and shit, I didn't know. It's so easy for me to forget.
Well, I kind of gave up on Teespring because
they sucked, right?
Yeah, everybody was saying that it was taking forever to get your stuff, and I keep meaning to look into other options for Vadge, for t-shirts and stuff. This one's from Michael R. I think he's Australian. He liked our new graphics, so I appreciated that.
Thanks, Mike. That's very nice, Michael.
Yes. This one's Night Shift. Great episode. Thank you. Love you guys. We're getting a lot of positive feedback.
That's great, guys. Support women right now because we're being raped.
Every day. We're having to perform in parks late at night.
Yes.
Oh, this one's from a listener named Catherine. She goes, this was from a few episodes when we were talking about like going to the dentist and then Zuzu's eye situation.
My blind dog, yes.
Yes. She goes, okay, only speaking for my dad being a dentist, cavities can fix themselves, kind of
Really?
like germ. I didn't know this, but I thought cavities were whole, so I don't understand how they can fix themselves. But unless it's the bacteria in them.
Or maybe
you
you're
can
just
get
filling
out.
it with food, and then
Maybe.
your cavities are all filled.
She's like, kind of like germs. You can wash them off. If the cavity isn't too bad, it can be brushed away like a year or so with diligent brushing and rinsing. Then it
Interesting.
makes,
I didn't.
yeah.
I've never had a dentist be like, "Hey, you have cavities. Do you want me to fill them, or do you want to just take care of it yourself?" Let me know what you want to do. How much money do you have? If you only have $50, I'm gonna just brush your teeth a lot, and it'll go away.
I know, because so when I read that, I was thinking, well, he was very like sense of urgency when I first got it last year, and he was like, and then I was like, can I do it after the New Year so I can have a little bit of money? And he had that sense of urgency, but now knowing all this time, he could have been like, why don't we see what happens over the holidays if you can just brush away that cavity, and then we'll check it out.
I've never heard that before. That is, I'm surprised you didn't ask him what happened to your cavity.
I know. I don't want to know because I don't.
I know, 'cause
want.
He'll say, "Come." I can't believe you fell for that $300 cleaning.
I know. I did.
But your teeth look beautiful, so.
Thank you. But before that, I didn't go to the dentist for years, like almost 15 years.
Well, most people don't have dental insurance, so it's like you have to have a pretty good amount of money to go to the dentist.
Well, Joe and I were talking, I guess, to the Gary Veeder.
Mm-hmm.
They pay something like $1,600 a month for him, his wife, and their baby to have insurance. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that is so much money.
How do they have that much money? That's crazy.
I think from the dog walking business.
Oh, I thought that was kind of like on pause, I guess, because of COVID.
Good use of nice pun. Unpause.
Yeah. Did you like that?
You're really into puns these days.
I'm really into puns.
No, I think it picked up, but then they made.
Oh, that's good.
They made pretty decent money from it beforehand. They're good with money. They save it and they put it away for rainy days, and then they were getting government assistance, I think.
I always thought too, it was funny, like, you know, people say like save money for a rainy day, and like I didn't. But I think if they said save money for a pandemic where you're not going to have any money, I might have saved it.
Yeah, that should have been more the adage then, because we've
Yeah,
also been in
the rainy day. I'm like, I'll just stay inside. What am I going to be doing?
Where you don't spend any money.
Right. So it actually feels like this is a waste of saving. It's
It
so
should
hard
be-
to save.
yeah.
When I was in high school, I had this friend that would have all these different envelopes, and she got paid in cash. So every week she would just put a little bit of money in each envelope. And I thought that was so crazy that she had the willpower to not dip into those envelopes and take money out of them.
Absolutely. I tried something like that. Like I was doing like $5 a day when I was waitressing, and I put it in an envelope, and it was going to be my money to like leave to go to New York. And
That's not even a lot of money.
no,
That's so funny.
I think I kept dipping in it to go buy cigarettes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Whereas
Don't worry,
like
that's not even enough money.
I can just bring New York to my mouth. Like how much?
You'd be like, I'm not making it in the bright lights, but here I am all alone in my room smoking these little cigarellos. I had a friend that moved up here from Philly with 10 grand, and he thought that was going to be a lot of money. And he slowly realized that he went through that money just on rent. Like he would have a list of what he was going to buy food wise. I think he had like a $20 or $30 a week, I guess, kind of what he was going to spend his budget on for food. And I think he was just shocked by how quickly that money went.
Shocking. There was a guy that I knew here. He got inheritance from his grandmother, and it was quite a bit of money. So he's like, he wanted to live in New York, Manhattan.
That's
He lived
insane.
he's from the boroughs. I forget which one, but he said it took him no time at all to go through all of that inheritance.
I'm sure. I mean, your rent in Manhattan especially it depends if you're living by yourself. It's probably at least $2,000
For a dump.
for like a studio that is so tiny.
Yeah. It's crazy the amount of money that people spend because they want to live in Manhattan.
Well, I think rent's going to probably go down because everybody's moving out. But it's still weird because I feel like all of those landlords are still probably going to have a high mortgage. Like, that's not going to go down. So,
yeah. Well,
I don't know what did they do?
But then I feel like they're like, oh, the mortgage is going to, or the rent is going to go down in Manhattan. And you're like, oh, cool, maybe. And then you move out there and they've just like knocked $200 off. And then you're like, well, that's not
doing much. Yeah, you're going to kind of need to split this in half and then like split it in half again for me to be able to afford living there. My friend was sad. My friend was like depressed, and he always talks about killing himself. And he moved to a place where he's like on the second floor, and he doesn't think he'll be able to do it and be successful. And I was like, we could just go down to the skyscrapers. They're so empty right now.
I like that you're just like, yeah.
We'll still make it happen. We'll do it on your budget. You know how like they come in, those people, and they're like, you look like shit. You have $100. We're going to make you look fantastic for your wedding. I'm just like, hey, we can find a place where you can still kill yourself.
Yeah, we're like, we can make this work for a budget. We can help you commit suicide for very low rate.
I was always impressed that he had done crack with prostitute, and he didn't get hooked on it. So there is a way to do crack recreationally. I was so amazed that he was able to not do it again.
Okay, I feel like I know who you're talking about.
I know, but let's not say who it is.
Okay.
But isn't that kind of crazy that you could do crack once and then you see all these other crackheads and you're like, well, this guy's doing it once in a while. So I don't know what your problem is.
You're like, I do know a guy that's able to do crack every now and then.
Yeah, so it's like, you guys need to get it together. I don't know what your problem is right now.
What an amazing thing to throw out at a dinner party with your friends where you're like, yeah, what's the big deal? I do crack every now and then, like on New Year's Eve.
He said it was
and
great.
I can do it. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, now that I know you can maybe do it and not get addicted, I mean, you're going to run that risk where someone's going to try now. And they're like, fuck, man, I thought I was going to be able to be like that guy who just did it once in a while.
I love that, like, you know how Oprah got in trouble for the beef industry? Like, we just get in trouble for getting everyone addicted to crack.
What did she do with the beef industry? Did she say it was great and then it's not?
No, she said something about that beef is, or with, I think it was during the mad cow thing of like, it's not good to eat beef right now. And the beef industry, at around the time that she did that, they had a decline in profit for that year and they blamed her for it. And so they took her to court. And that's how she became friends with Dr. Phil, because he was like this guy that was brought on to help her deal with, because it was a huge lawsuit. And also, I don't think anyone's ever fucked with Oprah before.
That's crazy. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, this was almost probably 20 years ago.
What I love about Oprah is she struggles with her weight just like I do. So like sometimes you'll never know if she's going to show up thin or fat. Like I love that about Oprah where like you'll see her and you're like, oh, she's thin again. And then you're like, oh, she's fat again. And then she just like surprises you all the time.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get.
You never know. And I just kind of love that about her. I remember my mom used to watch her every single day when I was a kid. So then I started watching her. She's such like a great interviewer.
Yes. And it was in a way of like, even if the person did something horrific, there was an empathy that she had for them that got more information out of them. Like she didn't shame people. No. Except the one guy that wrote a autobiography and then was found out that it wasn't all completely true. And then she brought him on the show to just be like, she was pretty much like, say it that you lied to me. Say it. That's how she was basically like for this guy. Daniel
That's
Fry or something like that. I think that was
That's
the
the
name.
guy that probably told the meat industry about her.
Yeah.
That seems like something you would do. Where you're like, I'm going to get you back, Oprah. You're not going to even know.
You have no idea what you just got into.
I feel like Oprah, if you went on Oprah back in the day, you could become famous pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, I meant your business could be launched. It's like she's the Joe Rogan. Or
you know how many
Joe Rogan is the white Oprah for dudes.
I don't know if you could say that without getting in trouble, Sarah.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know what you can say anymore. It's such a weird world where you don't know what's going to just set someone off, and they're going to work their whole life just to take you down. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could say something to someone online where that's their trigger. And like I posted like some 9/11 joke, and I was like, this joke could be something where it's like that takes someone, like it just hits them away where they're like, I'm going to take you down now. Like, they could just listen to every episode of Vadge and just pick out shit that I've said.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it if that happens. It means you're like this, oh no, you guys are kicking me out of show business. Like, I'm already
You're like, oh no,
out
it's
of
gonna
it.
be just like the pandemic.
Like, oh yeah, I feel like good luck. Also,
Almost
no
all-
one gives a shit about us.
Right. Almost all of my shows have now been canceled. I had 2 weekends.
Oh, really?
In October. Well, I had 2 weekends in October. One was at Cab City, and Cab City just closed, which
That
is so
sucks.
sad. But I feel like Rogan moving to Texas, there's gonna be he's gonna need a club to perform at. Is he moving to Austin?
Yeah, he just did. His studio's
Yeah,
all set up.
He's gonna need a club to perform at. He'll probably open something up. I can't imagine he's moving to Austin. The biggest club there is closed.
They have one called Velveeta Room, but it's in the off of 6th Street, and that's the one that's been there forever. And I can't imagine him going to that one as much. That I do feel like maybe I don't know. It's been speculated, but who knows?
I don't know. I just feel like he's gonna need a place to perform at.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in and helps them with something.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that Cap City went under, but I don't know if that's going to be the trend.
It's a really big room, though. It's humongous. It's like over
huge.
3. You know what I mean? So like, I guess the rent is really high there.
Well, that room, I agree. Like, that room is probably on the bigger side for a club. That it almost felt like if you were doing that size of room, then you might as well just shoot for a one night of 500 in a theater or something.
Yeah, I mean, I did that room with Ari. It was really good.
It's
I
a
just
fun
feel
room.
like and also Austin's a really fun comedy town. So I feel like
Yeah.
something else will happen. It's kind of shitty because that club was great and it's been around for a long time. It just makes you sad.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's I remember when like the Houston Laugh Stop closed, and that was like on the same caliber. And at one time, I think they were a chain. And then you're like, well, there goes comedy. But then like, just like everything, it just like adjusts and everything changes, and then it adapts to something else.
Yeah, I wonder if clubs like the Comic Strip will make it through this, and like Dangerfields.
I always wonder. You're like, I guess Dangerfields, I think on the weekends did pretty well.
Yeah, they'd like the Bridge and Tunnel crew.
I remember when I was bartending in Midtown, there was this guy that came down, and he was out of town, but he likes to come into New York, and he's like, I'm going to my favorite, the best comedy club in the world. And I was like, oh, the Cellar? And he's like, no, Dangerfields. And I was like, what?
That's hilarious. I mean, when I was
like-
a kid, that's where I went. Me and my friends went to Dangerfields, and we thought it was so cool. And I thought comics got like $500 a night just from one show.
Well, maybe back then.
It's possible. 90s.
I do really, really like the decor in Dangerfields.
Yeah, it looks like it has bed bugs. Everything
Yes.
is just so old and velvet. But it is
Yes.
cool. It reminds you of walking into like the 80s.
Yes. And then remember that waiter that's been there since the beginning? I think he died this year.
He might have died. Yeah, he was really old. And he was funny because there'd be comics
Super
on
rude.
stage. Super rude, which I love. And there'd be comics on stage where he'd be like, I'm funnier than this guy. And I'm like, you probably are. Wasn't his name like Talio or something?
Yeah, it had like either like an Italian or Spanish sounding name.
I thought it was Greek, but I could be wrong.
But
That
you'd
place,
be
you would do-
standing. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Oh, I was just saying that you'd be standing to go on stage, and then he would just take your hips and move you to the side.
So rude.
Because you were in the way of his. Like, he felt like him waiting tables there. That was the show.
Yes. You were just in his way as a comic. You were in his way to fine dining and waitery.
Yeah, like the show was just an extra bonus, but you were there to see him give you drinks.
That place used to give you like a half hour on stage, and then I think one night 2 comics didn't show up, so the host was just doing an hour of like banter on stage. So then they made this sets I think 20 minutes.
Damn. We were there for a brief moment. Remember that brief moment we were doing spots there?
Yes. Who booked us to do shows there? A guy that everyone says now is like a racist and a misogynist.
Yeah. Which is
What
not
is his-
surprising. I forgot.
Not
I want to say
surprising.
Rick, but I don't think it's Rick.
It's definitely not Rick, but that sounds like the type of guy that would be a misogynist and also a racist.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but I think he's now at another club and people hate him there also.
Oh, maybe because I think he also did Broadway as well. But we would
might
always
be there.
joke that he was like, "All right, I did my woman. I'm moving on now. I got those out of the way."
I think he booked like one woman a show because people were like, "There's no women on your lineup." And then I think he was like, "I tried it. I'm not into it. Going back to all dudes. They all suck. They all proved to me why I don't want them on my show. So I'm not booking them again."
Yeah. And the dudes he would get are like guys that maybe did Evening at the Improv in the 90s.
Yes, but like pleated like pants that had like those pleats in them and like shoulder pads in their jackets and stuff.
Yeah, or maybe like they have a beeper on their hip that you're like, where are you finding these guys from? Like, I think you brought one guy out of retirement that wasn't even good.
Because he was like, I'd rather book this guy than have a woman on my show. He's like, I'd rather have this awful guy on the lineup than have one woman on the show.
It's so funny. There is something funny about like people that are misogynist or just homophobic or blatantly racist to be like, ugh, I can't. Like, they're so
You ever get those
disgusted and angry about it. You're like, I cannot believe that you have a visceral sense of like having a woman up on stage.
Do you ever get a comment on Facebook or like Instagram or something and they'll be like, this is why all women aren't funny, and you're like, hey man, you just don't like me. Don't give up on every woman. That's so sad. What a weird way to say like every woman sucks because I don't think you're funny. It's like,
Oh,
just there's other women. Go like one of them.
that's their number one thing that they like to say. There was one I follow Comedy Central clips on my Instagram, and they isolated a bit from Aparna that wasn't really a bit. It was like a setup to another thing. I was
And
like,
then they cut it.
They cut it that way, so there was no punchline. And then you're like, and then I'm like reading all the comments, and it's like, women aren't funny. And then you're like, well, yeah, whoever made this clip did not
don't
do
even understand
Aparna a
comedy.
service. Yeah.
I bet that guy that books that show probably works there, and he's like, I'm gonna get all women canceled right now. I'm gonna cut all their jokes up.
Well, my thing, I guess when you have to go, they're like, hey, dude, you got to go listen to all these specials and isolate jokes. And he's probably like, that was probably like the 10th one of the day. And I just picture him just being like this, stop. And then that's where he was like, that's where the clip is going to be.
That's such an awful. There's sometimes like people will edit comedy that don't understand comedy at all. Where I think it was when they were cutting maybe my Degenerate setup, and they wanted to cut that one joke out, and I was like, why didn't you guys tell me that before? Because now that joke just is on its own. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe beforehand they didn't know that they'd want to cut that, but like sometimes people that are editing comedy don't really get comedy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually and then I feel like I don't even think a lot of people know what jokes are that are even in the business.
Yeah, I mean, not so much with that, maybe because that joke they just thought was really offensive. But I was like, I wish I had known this beforehand, so I would just have done different stuff. But a lot
Yeah.
of times when people edit your stuff out, you're just like, oh, like you've missed like the punchline, or like you've missed like a tag, and you're like, that tag kind of elevated the joke. So you're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
There,
it's kind of like edging for a joke. Like you cut
yeah,
off the joke where we're all supposed to ejaculate at the end.
right. And they're like, oh, we didn't know that, so no one's ejaculating. Everyone's just gonna walk around and be really pissed off because they're not ejaculating now. Do you see? There's a conspiracy, I guess, on Twitter where they think Tom Hanks is the next person to be taken down for pedophilia.
Oh yeah, something about like there's a thing about called a pink sock, and he does these photos of objects that are all by themselves, and he took a photo of a pink sock. This is QAnon shit, and so
I don't even know. Can you explain QAnon? Because I don't know what it is.
QAnon is this conspiracy theory online, and it's kind of tied in with Pizzagate, that there is a whole ring of celebrities and politicians that are involved in a huge pedophile sex trafficking ring.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, there is something where you're like, well, you know, there have been a lot of cases of celebrities or high up people doing very questionable things, like, or having child pornography. And then we have the Jeffrey Epstein case that you're like, well, how is this not something? It's understandable that general America would think this kind of stuff, but it gets out of hand when they're like, what QAnon starts doing, if you go on like Reddit and all that, they start being like dissecting things, and we're like, they said this, and this is a big thing in the sex trafficking, where you're like, yeah, he just happened to take a photo of a pink sock.
So is that something that they believe is part of like a pedophile trait, that you take a picture of a single pink sock?
Well, he thinks that it's like all the people, like they think that Wayfair selling that stuff was like a way of ordering extra anchovies on your pizza to get the guy to have sex with you.
But whatever happened to that? I never heard anything else after that about all those expensive cabinets.
Well, okay,
Maybe
so
they sold out because people were like, we could finally get kids.
yeah. Well, what I found out is that the reason why those cabinets are so expensive is because they're flame retardant. If I said that correctly. Can I say that?
No, I don't think you can say that.
So that's why you can store a lot of important documents in there, and it's not going to catch on fire. So if your building caught on fire, those documents will be protected. That's why those things were so expensive. And then if you put in the number, it did lead into like some weird Russian thing, but so does a lot of other stuff. If you put in, it can lead into, you can make anything, you can cherry pick stuff to fit your
agenda, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's weird because they also had other expensive items that were not those cabinets, like pillows and shit.
Oh, there was another explanation for that. The reason why they would outprice it is that it wouldn't show up on a lot of people's parameters, and it was a thing that they probably took off the market, but we're going to come back to and get, and that way they didn't have to like re-upload everything. They could just go back and then edit it out, the price parameters, and then put it back on the market again.
Sarah, it sounds like you were involved in this pedophile ring, because this is stuff I've never even heard about, and I think you're in on it. And you're just telling, you know, the ins
I'm
and outs,
covering
how
it
to
up.
You're covering it up because this stuff sounds like really good reasonings, which I've never heard of.
Okay, so these are all the stuff that I find out on TikTok. This is where
this is on TikTok?
Yeah, this is all on TikTok. Here's another thing. Okay, so you remember when Kanye West was at his own presidential rally, and
Yes.
he was going about Harriet Tubman basically took slaves and then sold them into another form of slavery? Well, everyone was like, that's so fucked up that he would say that. But what ended up happening is that the news only took out that isolated quote that he was saying. It was part of a bigger thing and an analogy and a metaphor, and there's so much more to what he was saying that it felt really unfair what they did, and it kind of like threw him under the bus. But he was actually just saying a metaphor, like, yeah, she freed us, but now we're in this new form of oppression that we've been sold that is not oppression, but it really is. And that you're like, I think the Black community can agree on that one.
Right.
But they made him look like a crazy person. But I would say the only thing that I thought was crazy is him saying that they were going to abort one of their kids and decided not to, where you're like, well, that's a lot of personal information to just be telling a group of people at your presidential rally.
Maybe he's trying to get on the like how he's pro-life, though. Is that one of his things where he's like, we were going to do that, and now we have this other kid, and now we love it, and now you guys shouldn't kill babies?
Yes.
Is
'Cause
that
it
how
turned
he's
out
trying to say
great.
that? Yeah, look how
Yeah.
great it turns out. Look how great it turns out when you're a millionaire. It's like, it's so great to have a kid. So, like, you shouldn't abort them, but, like, also you should be a millionaire. So if you're not a millionaire, maybe you should still have abortions.
I know. Yeah. But that just shows you how, like, and it's true what we were talking about, what was that documentary that's on Netflix, just how media really likes to make this thing to make it clickbait. It's fun to be like, well, that's crazy what Kanye West said, and then like click on that and then retweet it, and you're like, this crazy person, this asshole or whatever, and then instead you're like, actually he was saying stuff that was making sense.
Yeah, so the media basically is like catty high school girls that are just giving bits and pieces when they're kind of rehashing stories so that you're interested.
Yeah, to get you riled up and to get them on your side to fight that girl that they hate.
I loved Kanye's Twitter, like when he went nuts on Twitter and he was just like posting pictures of hot chicks that Kim is jealous of. It was like Jennifer Lawrence and somebody else. I think it was maybe Rihanna. So you know right then and there, like, those are Kim's buttons.
Yes, and that it's all played for all of us to see.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like it when people air dirty laundry in public. You're like, this is amazing. This is the storylines that I really like what you showed me on that Facebook post of that woman.
Oh, yeah. So there's a woman that I went to school with her daughter, and I guess their dad remarried someone because their mom had died, and like they always were upset about their mom dying, even like 20 years later. And you're like, get over it. I mean, my dad died. I don't even remember anything about him. So he remarried, I guess, and maybe this lady took all his money or something. So she went to the graveyard and put like a plaque down of a picture of the two of them with like some post, and then they went nuts, screenshot it, and they would just like call this lady all these awful names and how they hate her. She's going to get hers. And you're like, I don't know, man. It just seems like you guys are sad you didn't get your dad's money. Like,
yeah,
like she outsmarted you guys and you guys are upset about it now. Kind of sounds like it's your fault.
Well, I just like that Adrienne screenshots it and then sends it to me, and she's like, this is the content I live for.
That's the only content I want to see online is people fighting and stuff like that.
Well, you would have loved this one, and it just reminded me of the one that I wanted to share with you. It was Family Business, aired for everyone to see. This was on TikTok. So I guess this mom found out that her husband, who's her kid's stepdad, had commented on this girl that he may have used to date happy birthday, and she was livid and didn't understand why he was doing that. So she made a birthday cake for his ex-girlfriend and made her kids sing happy birthday on film to his ex-girlfriend, because daddy said happy birthday to his ex-girlfriend, so we're going to sing happy birthday to her. And you're like, I cannot believe she's got the kids involved. And then the girl, her older daughter, was holding the phone because she thought she was like, I thought this was going to be something else, that you were going to tell us that you were pregnant. Like, this is crazy that you just did this. But then the girl shares it on TikTok. And you would think that all of the comments are, I can't believe you dragged your kids into this. And instead it was like, you got the kids singing happy birthday to their stepdad's ex-girlfriend.
Also, like, why would you make that public? You look like an idiot for so many reasons, where you could have just like went and cheated on him. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could have gotten back at him in a way that was more fulfilling than looking like a fucking retard in front of all the world. Like, imagine doing that and being like her friend, and then someone asks you about it and you have to tell them that like she did this.
It's insane. It's
Why would she?
insane.
Why wouldn't she just wish happy birthday to one of her ex-boyfriends? I don't understand why you would do something where you look even dumber.
I know. And it's just funny to have her kids sing happy birthday to their stepdad's ex-girlfriend. And she was wearing a two-top. It just lets you, it's also one of those things where you're like, oh my God.
Wait, the mom was wearing a tube top?
Yeah.
Okay, so these people are from the South, right? Because this sounds like a very Southern, like, kind of garbagey move to do.
It does, but she had like that Jersey Karen mom hair.
Ooh, okay. So she could have been from Jersey also.
Yeah, it's hard to say. There's a whole gamut of American white trash.
How old were the kids? Like, were they young or they didn't really know what they're getting involved in? Or were they old enough where you're like,
they were young.
Supporting your...
Yeah, they were young. They didn't know what they were getting involved with.
How do you look up family drama on TikTok? Because I might join.
Okay.
Do you just have to go through videos of kids dancing?
I don't know. Sometimes it just shows up. It's like your algorithm is like, this is something I know that this woman would like right now. And you're like, this is exactly what I like. The other one I like is there's a new one that I'm into is like New York waiters spilling the tea about certain New York celebrities and how awful they are to wait on.
This is the stuff I like.
Yeah.
Who did they say was awful?
Lena Dunham.
She just seems like an awful person in general. Didn't she like basically rape her sister? It's so weird how everyone gave...
Yeah.
Well, not rape her, but didn't she like finger her or something? And then everyone gave her a pass and you're like, well, why is that okay? Because she like bought her a house or something?
I guess so. I know you're like, that was a really weird thing to throw into your autobiography and then also be weirded out that everyone's like upset with you.
Do you remember she was at some party and she was trying to like dance with a black football player or something and he wouldn't dance back with her and she was so upset?
Yeah.
And she made a big deal like where everyone should do what she wants to do. And you're like, Lena, stop.
Like, yeah, that one was bad. We're basically like kind of fetishizing a black guy, I think.
But also, like, know what you look like. I get it. Like, you have no control over that, but you're assuming, like, some famous football player wants to, like, date some regular white chick? Why? Yeah. He can get the hottest chicks he wants. Like, I don't know what her point was about it. Was she just, like, he didn't like plus-size women or something? Was that what she said?
I think so. Like, she was kind of, it sounded like maybe manipulating the story a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm sure if, like, a hot plus-size woman wanted to dance with him, maybe he would have. It's like, you're just not that attractive. Do you know what I mean? So, like, just, it's probably more that than, like, you're plus size. I don't remember what her reasoning, what she said, why he wouldn't dance with her now, but I was just like, why are you making this a thing?
Yeah.
I like your comparison to her taking her clothes off. Reminds you of, what's his name?
Pete Holmes.
Yeah. You get upset every time he took his shirt off. It was like when dudes get upset about Lena Dunham. And I was like, that's the perfect equation or metaphor, whatever you want to say. Comparison.
I know. And they're both Judd Apatow about, I guess, New York scenes. And you're like, they actually, and they have like the same body, like just like a milky... like, yeah, not where you're like, ooh,
a milky landscape. And the thing is, like, I guess she was trying to like promote body, like, you know, body positivity, and I get that, but it's like every episode she had to be naked in it, and you're like, we get it, just like we get it.
Well, there's something that I did like about it, that she was using her naked body for, I'm assuming, like, for comedic, for a joke, and that it's not for, I'm using my body as something, it's not supposed to be for sexual. I'm assuming that, because she would just be naked and just sitting outside on a lawn chair, like bad posture, and where you're like, this is obviously for comedic effect, where guys were able to use their body for comedic effect, being naked.
That's
like
true.
Where women usually can't, because guys will still jerk off to it. And she's like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
She's like, I am going to put you to the test. Let's see if you're going to jerk off after this. Isn't there one scene where she's like, I don't even think she was really fat either. She just wasn't like a stick, you know?
Well, it's also the way she would present. It was, like you can make your body or like photogenic no matter what by like the ways that you angle your body. But she would just be kind of like hunched over and like just not everything is relaxed rather than like kind of working with. It was just like how you are when you're at home, not like when no one's watching you. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. She probably did that for like comedic value and did that on purpose.
And I think that's where guys get really upset, where they're like, ugh, it's a naked female body and I don't even want to come close to fucking it. And then they get really mad about it.
But
like,
it's still fucking.
What a waste. Yeah.
What a waste of a woman. I don't even want to fuck you. And you're like, well, not all of us are for fucking. Some of us are for just working on the field. You know?
Yeah.
And
on the field.
Producing children, like back in the day in Little House on the Prairie with Laura Engel.
Yeah. That's
my dad loved that show. Did she have a brother too, right?
Laura Engel?
Yeah.
I guess so. I never watched Little House, but
on the Prairie.
I'm going to have to say we're 13 minutes after noon.
Ooh. Guys, it's my mom's birthday and I have to cook for her so that she'll leave me something when she dies.
That's nice. What are you cooking?
I'm going to cook steak.
I love
steak. Yes. Filet mignon. That's the only steak I really like. And what else am I cooking? I have to actually put the onions on because I'm caramelizing some onions and that takes forever. And then broccoli rub.
I love that. Oh, those are good. I love caramelized onions.
Yes, they just take forever.
They do. Guys, email us questions.
Yeah, send good vibes to Zuzu and her blind eye. Do you know the other day I was walking her and we went up the stairs and she was like standing by the wrong side. She's like really dumb right now because she can't see.
No.
It's very sad. It's sad to watch something you love just like fall apart before your eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could have said that about my dad, but like I love Zuzu more, you know, like I'm just kidding.
I know. Zuzu's, but like, I don't know, for an animal, because they seem so helpless and they've never done anything wrong.
She always comes in here when I'm podcasting. Look how cute she is.
Cute.
She's on 2 pillows. Zuzu.
Yeah, she's in the sun.
She loves the sun. She loves to just frolic in it and just lay there. I don't know how to turn this stupid thing back. Okay, there we go, guys. All right, well, I have to go cook for my mother.
Alrighty. Have a good day.
You too. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye guys.